Okay, this is a meeting of a combined meeting between the New Jersey Woodturners and the Atlantic Shore Woodturners in New Jersey. And today's demonstration is going to be by Tom Nagy and how to use Milliput. So Tom, it's all you.
Okay. All right. I'm still getting a delayed audio on my thing, so it's just a little distracting, but I'll try and
We don't hear that.
It.
So
all right. I'm putting some gloves on because I'm going to actually mix a little bit of stuff. So I'm turning for about 5 years, and about 3 years ago I saw a YouTube video with from a guy named Jim Overton, and he was doing some colorful stuff, and it turns out it was called Milliput. Okay, it comes in a box like this. Like this?
we can see it. The other one.
Like
yeah, that
this.
one. Yep, that's
okay. All right, and so it's about $8 a box, $8, $9, and you get, it says 4 ounces. It's not a whole lot. It comes in like these little tubes. Sort of looks like that. This is the hardener part, and then this is the color part. This is like a yellow or gray. I don't know if you can see that. So the first couple of pieces that I did, I used this stuff. All right. And then I found out that there's another product called Apoxie Sculpt. All right. And you get 8 ounces for about the same price. So I've been using that. So what this is just a 2-part epoxy putty. It's in the consistency of like Play-Doh. Everybody knows what that is. All right. And then I got to put the other glove on. So it's just like 2-part epoxy glue. You got to mix it together really well. God, that's so annoying. And I'm going to take some out in a second. All right, I'm going to use the Apoxie Sculpt, and I'm going to use blue, which is actually blue. I'm not going to make a whole lot because I just need to fill in one small groove, which I'll show you in a second. Turn it into a ball. That way you can see how big it is. And then you take the other part. It's getting a little stiff. These are kind of old. I haven't done Milliput stuff in at least a year or two, maybe more. You want to try to get an even amount. All right. Can you guys see that on the table?
no.
Hey, can you switch the camera, Bob, to the phone?
Yeah, hold on a second. Let me see.
That was the plan, to use
Because I can
the
see
phone.
it on my phone.
Yeah, he's got them. You need to have pin the phone.
All right, hold on a second.
Oh, you guys are watching through the iPad?
Yeah, we'll switch to the phone.
I got to get the gallery view. Hold on a second. I had turned the gallery view off. So, all right.
There you go.
Oh,
All right, Tom.
okay, good.
We're good.
Okay, I've got a screen on my iPhone that says later or unmute.
It's
I guess
good.
later.
Don't touch your volume.
You're
didn't.
good, Tom.
Don't touch your volume. Just go. You're good. You're good to go.
All right. So anyway, I got 2 parts. Okay, it's called the A and B, just like the glue. This is the color, this is the hardener. And you just got to knead it together. Okay, you can see it. You got to do it for a good 5 minutes or so. So while I'm doing this, I don't know what we can do. Put the top back on here. I guess what I could do is I could show you, I made a piece, okay, it had 3 grooves in it. The top groove I left open because I'll fill that up now. This groove here is the Milliput that I pushed in, but it's not turned down. The bottom one is turned down and smooth. I don't know if you can see the difference. Like this the top one is bulging out. The bottom is nice and flush and smooth. All right, and also while I'm here, the groove is undercut a little bit so that it doesn't, I guess, fall out, but I've never had any kind of issue, even with like very thin stuff. So it's getting nice and blue. There's still a little bit of color in there. You want it to be completely the same.
Do you buy the stuff on Amazon or Woodcraft? Where do you get it?
I actually bought some at Hobby Lobby, and then I bought some on the internet. The epoxy sculpt I didn't see anywhere but on the internet. So I guess you could just look it up and try to get it wherever you can.
What kind of working time do you have on that?
I think it has somewhere between 2 and 3 hours. Or maybe a little less, between 1 and 2 hours, something like that.
That's a lot.
Because I do remember at one point I was doing a piece and it did start getting real hard.
Hey, Tom, question.
Yes.
You used the same gloves when you dug it out of each container. Is any issue with cross-contamination?
Yeah. And I don't think so.
Okay. So it doesn't really stick to the gloves.
Glove that much.
Okay.
So I really don't think that's an issue. So what I really need to do is mix up some white now. But I don't know if I should take the time to do that again.
Okay.
But
Today.
what you do is I'll take a piece of wax paper and figure I have a blue one and a white one. All right. I put it between 2 pieces because it is sticky. I'll take a piece of PVC pipe and just roll it out. That way. Hey Bob, should I take the time to do a white one? I mean,
Do you want to?
all right.
You're trying to make that zebra color?
Yeah, he's got it
What?
there by his hand, look.
Tom, you're trying to make one of those zebra colors?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm trying to do to show the 2 different colors.
Okay.
But what really all you do is you make the pancakes out of both colors, and then you stack the 2 colors, and then you have white and blue, and then you cut it into these strips, white and blue strips, and then you take these strips, and I use a sheetrock knife blade held in a pair of vice grips. I'm sure there's a tool that you can use, but I don't know what it is. And then I take the sheetrock blade, and then you'll cut lines through both of them, and you make these lines.
All right.
And then I'll take and I'll cut it in this way into little squares
Okay.
that you see here. All right. And then I take all the little squares and you line them up, one right next to the other like that. You try to make it approximately the size of your groove, something like that.
All right. Tom, how deep is the groove?
Um,
An
eighth of an inch maybe, or 1/8 to 1/4. No, it's not 1/4, an 1/8, something like that. It doesn't have to be real deep unless the piece isn't rounded, you know, not, what do you call it?
It's round.
Not round. If it's way out of round, then it's got to be deeper so that when you turn it down to round, you don't turn through the bottom of the Milliput.
Okay.
I've done that a couple of times.
All
All
right.
right.
So let me ask you a question. Your bottom
Yeah.
ring closest to the chuck, that's already
Yes.
hardened?
Say again?
The bottom ring, that's already hardened up and turned?
Yeah, this is all hardened. I did this a couple of days ago.
Oh, okay. But
This is all hardened. And
didn't-
I don't know if you
didn't
can
turn-
tell, but the bottom is turned and smooth and flush. And I put linseed oil on it.
okay.
It's on the wood. It's on the Milliput. It's not on this or what's on top.
Okay. We're with you.
All right.
Did you undercut at all that groove?
Yes.
In other words, put a little bit of a edge on it so that it would hold
Yeah,
a little
just
better?
the way like a dentist would do a filling. You would do an undercut so the filling doesn't fall out. Similar thing. But I find that I've never had an issue with it flaking or anything. So anyway, let me just cut a couple of strips of this and then I'll push it into here.
Please make sure your microphones are turned off.
And just imagine that this is two colors like this. You know, it's just two pancakes right on top of each other.
Does that want it after a day or two? Rock hard?
Say again?
Rock hard? Does it get very, very hard? You just,
Yeah, it gets rock hard.
I mean,
Absolutely
rock hard. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Tom, Tom, Jim Serra here. Regarding the undercut, I
Yeah.
did a project with Milliput on a small bowl, and I didn't undercut it.
Yeah.
And after a period of time, it peeled off.
Really?
Yeah, so it's
Oh.
important that you do the undercut. That's good
All right,
advice.
So I guess it is. I mean, I've always
Yeah.
undercut my pieces, except for when I did like small band. Like, see, this one has like two small bands on top. And that's just the thickness of the, I think I used a parting tool to make those grooves. So these two aren't undercut. The big one is, and I've never had a problem because a couple of pieces have these little real thin bands. So, okay, that's interesting. All right, so again, now you cut these little squares and then you put them together like that, with white ones in between, sort of like that. So it comes like this. And then you take those pieces that are all stuck together and you would just push it into the groove with your thumb. You know, this is much wider than it needs to be. I'm just going to take these and put it right into it. I think the real critical part is that the Milliput isn't below the surface of the wood. It's got to sort of be bulging out.
Right.
But, you know, not a whole lot, but enough that you're sure that it's way above the surface. Like over here, you can see that it's sort of hollow down the middle. So that I would either push it in from the sides, like that, Or what I would do is I would take some leftover pieces like I have here and just put it on top there to make sure that it's bulged out.
That groove surface, would it help if it was rough so that it would hold the milliput?
I mean, I don't sand it to make it smooth. It's just smooth because when I was turning it, it was going real fast and the tool was pretty sharp. I think it's just the undercutting is the most important. And the other thing I do is I push it pretty hard and for quite a while, because I was always nervous that, oh, maybe there's an air bubble in there or it didn't seat all the way. And a lot of times I'll just do it a lot longer than it probably needs to be. So you go all the way around, put it in, make sure that it's above the surface quite a bit. And that's it. And they just let it harden overnight. Another thing I didn't mention that Mr. Atherton says is don't take it off the chuck, because once you have it on the chuck, it's centered. If you take it off, it's very hard to get it exactly centered again. So he says just leave it on the chuck, and I found that to be very true. I made a mistake and took it off once, and then what happened is I had to recenter it, and I went through the back of the milliput in some spots because I had to take quite a bit off to center it again. So that's important. Leave it on the chuck.
So when you turn it, is it a real powder? You getting shavings or powder?
You get powder and you do get shavings. I find that using the carbide tool takes it down better, but just a regular sharp bowl gouge works too. I think I used a sharp bowl gouge on these two. Sorry, on this one, not these, because I didn't do this one yet. So you know what? I'm going to just finish this because I want to finish this piece up, and then I'll show you guys the next time we do, you know, a show and tell thing. So I'll just put this in there real quick.
Tom, after that hardens, if you found that you had a little void in the hardened milliput, can you refill that spot?
Well, you can, but then you'd have to mix up the, you know, a whole batch again, and then you'd have to match. If you're doing something like this, and then putting this in there, you got to match that up too. It's always better to just make sure you have enough. I imagine you could. I've never had to do that, so I don't really can answer that.
Tom?
Yes.
Dennis Weiner,
Yes.
a question. So when you're taking it down and it's powdery, does that get enlarged in the pores? If you had a porous wood, would you coat it with a primer first before you cut the groove?
You know, I don't really know. I'm not that, I guess I don't have that knowledge. I never had that problem. I think because I always pushed it in and did it quite a lot, I don't think I had that issue ever.
Yeah. Would you also, another question, would you, you think it's in there strong enough that you can possibly use polish it with a Beal system?
What is a Beal system again?
Buffing.
The Beal system is a buffing wheel system.
Oh, the buffing wheel stuff. Yeah, sure you can. Absolutely. Because when this is rock hard now, it's probably much harder than the wood surface. So you can, you know, do anything with it. You can, I sand it down to you know, I start with probably 100 grit, and I usually go to 1,000. And
How does
it's
it stand?
glassy smooth, perfect. You can't feel the edge at all. It's just.
How does it sand compared to the wood?
Okay, I'm sorry. Say again.
How does it sand compared to the wood?
Oh, very similar. Very, very similar. It'll sand just as easy as the wood. I mean, one's not going to get worse than the other. All right, so I think that, oh, wait, there's a spot here. 1 second.
Wanted to make a comment relative to keeping it on the chuck. The other thing you want to make
Okay.
sure is to make sure that your wood is as dry as possible, because if you have any moisture in it, and overnight this thing tends to go out of shape, you're in big trouble.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. In a minute or two, I'm going to just show you 4 pieces that I've done in the past, and you'll see that the pieces did dry, and they're not flat on the bottom at all, but there was no bad effect by the Milliput. I mean, it still looks as good as the day I did it. All right, so this is excessively thick. But you can't be too thick, but you can be too thin. So you can always err on that side. So what else? All right. So here's one piece that I did. Can you guys see it? Oh, wait a minute.
I got it. It's very attractive.
What happened here?
It's a great technique.
Okay. I also put a piece of, what is that? I think it's called terracotta color on the bottom and on the inside. And, well, like I was saying, I mean, this is really unflat, okay? But the Milliput is smooth. There's no flaking, no cracking. This one you guys saw already has the 2 little bands on top. Now, another thing, when I mix this up, I always mix too much because I'm worried that, oh my God, what if I don't have enough? So I'll usually have a lot left over. And what I'll do is I'll take it and make a pen blank out of it. And I would do a matching pen.
Great idea.
To match the bowl, which is kind of cool. And I did 3 of those, only I can't find 2 of the pens. So
You put them in a mold.
Shape that around the tube?
say again?
You shape that around the tube, or do you make a blank and drill it?
No, yeah, I make a blank and drill it. Yeah, what I'll do is I'll roll it on the table and, you know, make it thicker than you need, and then very carefully drill it out, and then do like you're making a pen.
Great idea.
And like I said, I always have way too much. I showed you that. I showed you that. There's this one. This is kind of cool. Nothing on the bottom. This is 3 colors, black, white, and the terracotta. Okay, that turned out cool.
Now, can you dye the Milliput too using like aluminite dyes? Can you mix that in while you're mixing the epoxy?
I've never tried it. I don't know. A dye. Well, do you think you could do it? Can you dye Play-Doh? You think that would work? I mean, this is literally feels just like that, like a stiff Play-Doh.
It's been a few years since I've played with Play-Doh.
Spending more time with
On that topic, I've communicated with Jim Overton on that subject, and he does not recommend dyeing. He said you probably could, but it might change the porosity and the ability of the Milliput to harden. I wanted to, I wanted to put some flakes into it, and he suggested not doing it.
Flakes you should be able to do. Why wouldn't you be able to do that?
I've never tried it, so I can't comment one way or the other.
Yeah, I've never tried either.
I would think you'd be able to mix something like glitter with it, just little flakes, and that might be a pretty cool looking effect to the that stuff kind of sticks out and catches light.
Mm-hmm. Or,
that's something you could use your leftover stuff for if you wanted to do a test run on that. Whether you're putting metallic flakes in there, or a dye or something, just set it on the table and see what happens when it dries.
Especially if you just have a solid color, like up here, some nice flakes or something silvery, or that'd be kind of cool. So, when this dries, I'm sorry.
Can you give us the name of the product again? The one in the jar?
Well, which way? This way.
No, the one in the jar. The one that you had in the jar.
Oh yeah, that I was going to show you that too. That's called Apoxie Sculpt.
Thank you very much.
Sure. And like I said, it seems to be the same exact product, except you get more.
Great, thank you.
More is always better. Anything else, guys? Utility knife. I use linseed oil.
It looks like.
Have you ever tried to use it for filling cracks or something like that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I went through the bottom of a couple of pieces, and I used that to fill up the bottom, and it actually turned out pretty good. Let me show you. All right, so this isn't one that I went through the bottom, but there was a big gap. I don't know if you can see the Milliput on the bottom there. So I used that because I had some leftover, and I stuck it in there, and I turned it, and it turned out okay. I mean, it's obvious that somebody screwed up.
The entire bottom Milliput putty?
No, not the entire bottom, just the that little section right near the edge, the white and terracotta color.
Oh, okay.
You see it?
Yeah.
It was just like I didn't want to go through. It was getting too thin, so I just left it, and it was a big hollow area. And I remembered it. And I said, "Oh, you know what? I'll fill up with this Milliput."
Now, when you finish, you say you use boiled linseed oil?
I like linseed oil. Yeah.
Do you know whether any other finish would be fine over that too, or any of it problematic?
I didn't hear the first part.
I was wondering whether you could use other finishes too, or whether the Milliput wouldn't take it.
Again, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Like if you wanted to use a polyurethane or something like that, I wonder whether the Milliput would not take the poly, or whether it would.
If I had to guess, I'd say it would definitely take it. But again, I didn't do that, so I don't really know for sure.
Thank you.
Let me address that question for just a sec. I don't know if you can see this, but this is a bowl that I made using Milliput. I call it my
wait a minute,
polka dot bowl. And what I used to finish this, I made this for the beads of courage. What I used to finish this doesn't go up very well. What I used to finish this was Axe abrasive paste and Axe polishing paste. and it's smooth as a baby's butt.
Yeah.
It came out real nice. I did not intend to put any other finish on top of that.
Is that Milliput?
But I just drilled holes and made different colors. Pardon?
Is that Milliput?
Yeah, that's Milliput.
Okay. All right.
What I did was I just drilled holes of different sizes, plugged them up, let them dry, and then turned them.
Yeah.
And there's 4 different colors. I thought it came out pretty well, but addressing the question of finishing, it took Axe very well. I sanded it to 400, maybe 600, I forget. It took Axe paste, the finishing paste, and the abrasive paste very well. That's maple.
Okay. All right, very good, thanks.
And if you wanted to make a different color, I would assume you could like mix the blue and the yellow color to make green and then mix it with the hardener. If you were...
Okay, you know what? I've never tried that, but you probably could. Yeah. The colors that I bought in the past was black, white. This one's called yellow gray. There's something called terracotta. And I bought an orange and Apoxie Sculpt. What happened? Can you guys see that?
Hold on a second. I got you on the other view.
Yeah, my phone changed.
There you go.
That's better. Okay. And then this blue. I think at the time, a couple of years back when I did this, they only had, I think, the 3 or 4 colors in the Milliput. But the Apoxie Sculpt had the blue, it had the orange, although orange and the terracotta were very similar. And I haven't done it in a couple of years now, so I don't really know what's out there. I haven't looked.
I've used different putty products. They're not additive color-wise. If you take a red and another color, for instance, to try and make something in between, they don't add together and make a third color. They just continually band or model out. I haven't had any success. I haven't used Milliput, but the way his zebra stripe grows, if you were to continue that and keep mushing it down and mushing it down and mushing it down, the colors don't necessarily blend so that you don't get the typical red and blue to make green. It doesn't work. It at least in the stuff that I was using. If it did, when you crush what he did to do the zebra stripes, you would get a cross modeling between the white and the black. And if you notice on his stripes, they're very defined. There's no mixing. It's not giving you a gray in the middle. And it's not an additive color. I would be a little bit hesitant to say, well, I'm going to get a green by mixing red and blue or whatever. I don't know that it's going to work. I think you'll get a red and a blue, a red and a blue mix up with, some mush in between, but it might be worth a shot.
Well, a Play-Doh.
Yeah, I've never tried it or thought about doing that, so I don't know.
Mixing the Play-Doh, definitely, it all becomes one color.
Yeah, like gray. Yeah, it's not additive the way you think of like paints.
Okay. And any other questions?
Yeah, where's your sauce? And suppose I wanted to make a bowl out of this stuff, would be prohibitively expensive at 4 ounces, but suppose I wanted to get some pounds, and instead of segmented turning, maybe I'll segment this stuff up to build a big form out of it.
I'd love to see something like that. I've never.
Yeah, it's going to be an expensive bowl.
Yeah, that'd be pretty expensive.
Yeah, but the sauce, not 4 ounces, if this is available commercially somewhere.
Yeah, when you
that's
find
kind
it, Dennis, let us know.
that's kind of the question.
And when you make the bowls, show it to us.
Yeah, and you can inlay some wood inside of it.
Tom, what's the cost of each of those containers?
If I remember correctly, it's about $8 to $10 a piece, approximately. I honestly don't even remember. And on one of the Milliput boxes, it says $7.99. So, I mean, I'm just guessing. I remember that the epoxy sculpt was about the same price and you got twice as much.
Hey, guys, I'm on Amazon, and I'm looking at a 4-pound order of silver gray epoxy sculpt, $44.95, 4 pounds.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. 4 pounds, that would make a bowl, I guess.
Sure.
They make a lot of pens.
Well, you could always mold it around another bowl.
Well, you know how the kids make snakes and then they take the snakes and they kind of like build it up?
Yeah.
Maybe.
You could do something like that, yep. But you need to make sure it's pretty round and make sure it's thick enough so that you can round it once it's on the lathe.
Yeah, or make a mold and then
For a mold, yeah.
and then lay it out with the rolling pin, get a big pizza out of it and wrap it around and smush it in, let it dry, and you know, providing that you can get it off the mold in 1 or 2 pieces, and maybe that's okay.
I would think structurally sound might be an issue. How structurally sound, because there's no grain, there's nothing. I would question whether a big bowl might explode on you.
And I think it'd be very brittle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Any other questions? We'll wrap this thing up. I do appreciate very much, Kevin, for bringing some of your guys in on this. Looks like we got 31 people today.
No wonder. I'm so nervous. 31 people. Oh, my God.
Oh, cast of thousands. You did fine, Tom. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Tom, I got to say, on behalf of the Atlantic Shore Woodturners, I really appreciate not only you doing this presentation and Bob for letting our crew join. Hopefully, Bob and I talked about this, being able to do some more events in the future. Bob, I know you're going to be sending invites to your guys. We're going to provide you guys a opportunity to join in one of our meetings as well. 2 of our people that are on this call, Chris Lawrence and Bill Stewart, are doing a program in June. We'll be sending out an invite. I'm trying to remember if it was the 16th or the 18th. I can't remember on the top of my head.
18th, I think.
The 18th. Yeah, we're going to send you invites so that you're more than welcome to come and join us as well. Thank you so much, North Jersey Woodturners. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you. We have these mini clinics. I think this is our 3rd one, maybe 4th.
4th, I think.
4th one, and we have another 4 or 5 already scheduled for the next few Saturdays. So, you know, you guys are invited to those. It's a good way to kill a little bit of a Saturday morning, but I don't know about you guys, but I'm anxious to go outside and get into the shop for a little bit.
Great. Thank you again.
And thank goodness we don't have to wear masks.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that would be a little tough.
Hey, Bob, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
All right, guys.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate
Little later on, look under my name. If you want to see this again, I am going to put this on my YouTube channel.
Well, I'm going to check
That's a nice way to do it.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Tom.
All right.
Alrighty, thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
I'm going to end the meeting. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Tom.
Bye, Kevin.
it. Bye.
Take care.